like this.
Then what happens to my kid?
I can't help you. This is what
But you can if you could just move out the way.
You're not going to.
How is this a peaceful protest if there's nothing to do? No, it's not.
What you just witnessed is a viral video out of New York that, of course, was brought to us by the lovely Savannah Hernandez. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel, Sav Says. Follow her on X as well. And in this particular video, you have two white people with nothing to do on a weekday morning blocking traffic for people who actually have jobs, have to go to work, actually have to commute in New York City, and laughing at the idea that even them going to work is all that important.
How do y'all as white people feel about stopping a black woman from going to work?
Oh no, not work. I care so much.
So you don't care about stopping black people from going to work?
Look at this line that you guys are causing. I'm not causing no problems. I'm not trying to. We're just trying to leave.
Now, of course, it has been noted and was noted at the time by Savannah Hernandez that they are blocking a black woman from going to work as white people, and how can they justify this in their leftist orthodoxy? But of course, these two individuals right here don't give a damn. This man has become a living meme, and the reason why is because these people are under the impression that whatever their cause is supersedes anything that is going on in your day-to-day lives. These are the most selfish people on the planet, and they think the cause of illegal immigrants is more important than people getting to work. And I just want to point out that the racial component is often highlighted in this particular video because it's so obvious and produces so many contradictions in ideology for the left wing. But in reality, if the races were reversed, we should be just as angry at these people that are blocking people from going to do their jobs, that are risking some kind of penalty for them just because they're angry at federal law being enforced. And in reality, what they're angry at is losing the election. Again, they're doing all of this for illegal immigrants at the behest of a bunch of different multinational corporations like Walmart, who, by the way, is actually funding the March Against Kings or whatever the stupid protest that is set for Saturday, June 14th actually is. And it's just absurd. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There's a very, very peaceful rioting that is going on all over the country now because it's so much peace that we just have to discuss it. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Large group of people, it could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
So look, obviously at this moment in time, I've had enough of the footage that we're seeing across the country because blocking roads, destroying storefronts seem to be the tactics that the left wing just loves doing. And the fact is, this is a consequence of almost none of these people being held accountable during the Black Lives Matter riots. And I'm willing to bet that the very same people that were destroying things and blocking traffic back then that were never held accountable are also the same people at these pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas protests, and are also the same people blocking traffic on behalf of the illegal immigrants. Now, by contrast, from New York to Florida, Ron DeSantis decided it would be a good time to remind people in Florida of the fact that they have the right to defend themselves when their cars are being blocked off and they're being attacked in this absolutely iconic clip from the Rubin Report.
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
I know a lot of people are still salty about Ron DeSantis trying to run for president against President Trump, but the fact is, the man is still one of the best governors in the entire country. Now, of course, the left-wing media has been in overdrive trying to pretend that these riots are not, in fact, riots. They deny that they exist, a la Maxine Waters saying that there's no violence.
And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know.
But at the same time, they also say that all the violence was caused by the evil orange man. In fact, we have Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, all these different various politicians making the case that the rioting in Los Angeles that clearly and obviously started prior to the National Guard deployment happening is actually a reaction to the National Guard. And the only way that we can stop the rioting is if we never enforce any federal laws.
But the real solution of all of this is for the administration to stop the raids. We have heard that these raids might take place for the next 30 days. We don't know how many are going to take place in a given day. And you just think about the disruption to families and the disruption to our local economy.
Essentially, we're supposed to give in to the hostage takers who have taken our major cities and our major highways hostage based on this particular cause, and that will solve all of our problems, when in reality, if you gave in to these people, what would actually happen is that they would just block traffic for absolutely everything. They would destroy businesses for absolutely everything, because we would tell them that that tactic works. What we actually need to do is crack down on these people, initiate their arrests. And by the way, there's a bunch of footage of NYPD officers doing just that. Some of it's violent, so I can't show you it right here. And I give them credit where credit is due for not standing for this absolute nonsense. But the thing is, the mainstream media gaslighting is off the charts on this particular issue. I saw this headline from a news report out of Oakland, I believe, that says that a store was broken into, a shoe store, and ransacked right next to a peaceful ICE demonstration. Again, the peaceful ICE demonstration and the store being ransacked, those are two contradictory things. Either these people are looting and are rioting, or they're not, and I'm so sick of the media playing games around this. I mean, again, one of my favorite talking points to make fun of that has reemerged time and time again throughout these riots is that, hey, these riots are no big deal because the riots are only happening in the place where the riots are happening, and in other places where riots aren't happening, they're not happening over there. And since there are only a few locations where the riots are happening, I don't know why you're saying that, oh, this is dangerous or this is a bad situation. And of course, this was expressed by Philip DeFranco in this infamous clip.
Then also with all this, I do want to say, especially regarding the way that Trump is talking about the pictures and the videos, and this is important for every situation, when you see something, do not just assume, okay, well, that is definitely what's going on, and it's what's going on everywhere. Right? I get it when it comes to news and attention. If it bleeds, it leads. Right? It's easy to see some videos or some pictures and go, okay, so it was just widespread lawlessness and chaos. That's all it was. But it is also very important to remember that as far as we can tell, most of the people that were showing up and protesting were doing so peacefully. And away from these few areas of clashes, life was going on as normal for most people in LA.
And again, I just want to make it 100% clear to everybody out there, I don't give a damn that the riots aren't quite literally happening in every square inch of the city at all times. In reality, they are happening. They're not just people out there looking to watch cars burn for fun.
Hey, understand, is not to say that there are not opportunists in the mix just excited for the chance to see a car on fire.
These are people that are actively setting those cars on fire, and of course, in most of these cases, they're burning the American flag while raising foreign flags in order to do so. But again, back to our original clip where we have this individual who of course is like, work. He's so put off by the idea that it's a big deal that this woman can't get to work. And one of the reasons behind that is because many of these people that are backing these riots don't have real jobs. A lot of them are trust fund brats that have their parents subsidizing their rent. And I would be not surprised at all if that were the case for this individual right here. And this is the real conflict that is going on in our country right now. Because if you look at the polling, even the polling amongst people who immigrated legally to the United States of America and became citizens, what you'll find out is that despite the rioting, despite the chaos being generated by the left, the deportation program is actually popular.
In his first term, Trump was way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Now, in the aggregate, he is in positive territory at plus 1 point on his net approval rating. Some other polls even have it a little bit higher than that. There is no issue on which Trump is doing so much better than he was in his first term, more than the issue of immigration. No wonder the Times has written up the way that he is. Trump is begging for a fight on this because he knows what he's doing so far is working with the American electorate.
Where does immigration rank on issues for him? How is he doing compared to other issues?
Yeah, so I think what's so important is it is his top issue so far, and the reason it is his top issue is because take a look at the individual nuggets in here. Why are people approving of Trump on immigration, approve of these different immigration actions, while Trump's administration's program to deport those here illegally. Look at this, 54% approval. How about agents searching your hometown for those that they think are here illegally? Again, positive territory here, above 50% for Donald Trump. So it's not just on the broad issue of immigration where Trump is doing well, it's on the specifics. When you dive into the issues, Trump is above 50% and his actions are above 50%, at least with those most directly connected to what's going on right now out in Los Angeles. Yet the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue on the issue of immigration. I mean, you could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. You see it here, CBS +6. You see it here, CNN +6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, +19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number 1. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
Now, again, that was the overall deportation programs and the specifics. But like I said before, it's even popular among people who came here legally and became citizens. In fact, they are the most supportive of this.
Start off on the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020. Closest to or trust more in immigration. You go back to 2020. Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group that I could find. The group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were in fact immigrants themselves, immigrants who are registered to vote in this country.
Now, of course, these are near 50-50 numbers, so again, in more left-wing areas, obviously they're going to be more unpopular, but it begs the question, outside of corporations like Walmart that are funding the anti-Trump protests based on immigration and tariff grounds, who is actually behind this? And again, a bunch of these kids are trust fund brats with nothing to do on a Tuesday morning because they don't have to work for a living that are out there engaged in the riots. And in addition to that, you have the Democratic Party that has been endorsing the militant arm of their party, creating riots, creating violence, and creating chaos in the line of forwarding their agenda. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the stories of widespread illegal immigrants voting in our elections are not actually the reality, but what you don't hear about often enough is the fact that congressional representation, how we apportion districts, is based on population, not U.S. citizen population. So what these Democratic left-wing cities want to do, because a lot of them are hemorrhaging voters and their states are hemorrhaging population, is actually have these people come in to bolster their population so they could get more congressional seats. And essentially you have an underclass that gives you more representation than you would have in Congress, and these lefty elites get to vote and their votes have more impact. This is one of the things that people have pointed out about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's district, that basically nobody votes in the district that is around 700,000 people because she has a huge portion of that population that are immigrants, both legal and illegal immigrants, that are ineligible to vote. This is the game right here, people. They're trying to withhold on this population shift that is happening in this nation, and one of the ways that they do that is by protecting these people with sanctuary city laws, including the criminals, and of course initiating and looking the other way when these riots occur. And by the way, if you don't buy the narrative of the underclass, I got some clips for you to see, because these Democratic politicians tell you straight up that they want these people here to do crappy jobs that they don't want to do.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay pay us enough to find a plantation.
Now, of course, you have Jasmine Crockett right there saying that we're done picking cotton. That's the role for the Hispanics. Again, they're showing so much love for this minority group that they think so lowly of. And in addition to that, we have other Democratic representatives talking about how the role of these illegal migrants is to wipe their behinds. And I'm being absolutely 100% about that.
Labor, and of course, we have to come to a place in Congress where it is no longer a political issue, but we see it as an existential issue for the country. If we don't have avenues for people to come here legally to work or to build a home here, I'm going to be really crude right now. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our asses because we don't have enough people.
So yeah, while there's definitely a bunch of left-wing local municipalities that are trying to give immigrants the right to vote in local elections, in reality, that is not their large-scale plan. The large-scale plan is to import all of these people from the third world, have that bolster their congressional representation so they can get more tax dollars from the feds so that they can maintain their power. And in addition to that, these wealthy liberal elites want their servant class. They want their nannies. They want their cleaners. They want the people to wipe their butts and pick the cotton because this is what they think of those people. That's the dirty little secret of the Democratic Party, is that they want these people to come into this country to work under the table in the shadows in order to meet the goals that they actually want to engage with. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the very overwhelmingly peaceful riots. Till next time.